and welcome back to another video. So today, as you probably saw from the title and thumbnail, we are doing the MLP, so My Little Pony princesses in my style. And I kind of just wanted to draw these, have fun designing. I have really been getting back into My Little Pony because, I don't know about you guys, but it's been like trending on all of my social media pages, just general interest in the fandom once again. And I used to watch it a lot when I was younger, and I still remember most of the episodes. I believe I watched up to season 4 or 5, and I think there's around 6 or 7 seasons, so I haven't even finished the show, but I've seen pretty much every single episode up until season 4 or 5 when I stopped watching. And I always loved the royalty in My Little Pony, and I've always wanted to redraw them. My personal favorite royalty is Princess Luna, but I'm also going to be drawing Princess Celestia in this video. And then depending on how this goes or how much you guys like this content, I may do the rest of the princesses, so Princess Twilight and Princess Cadance, and then I'll do the main 6 with Twilight included. And for these designs, I really wanted to put my own headcanons in, which are basically like how I believe the story goes. So you will see a lot of changes in both Celestia and Luna's design, which I'll get to as I'm drawing them. The first major change you can probably see as I'm sketching is their horns. Because they're princesses, I wanted to make them feel a lot more like regal, a lot more different than the regular like Pegasus, Earth Ponies, and unicorns that are in the show. So because they're alicorns, I decided to make their horns all like fancy. And Celestia has a sun motif, or like a sun inside her horn, and it like juts out like a star kind of. I thought this would be really cool because she is the princess of the sun, you know, she's the big leg ruler. She is that girl. And I've always liked Celestia. In the show, like, I liked her a lot. Looking back, she maybe doesn't do as much in the show as she probably should have for like a ruler. I feel like a lot of the time it leaves Twilight to do a lot of the work, even though she's not like the one responsible for it. But I'm assuming that's because she's the main character and for plot development and yada yada yada. But I think Celestia is a really cool ruler, and I wanted to kind of show her as like very wise, very old. She's been through like a lot. She's been ruling over Equestria for years and years and years, and I wanted to give her certain motifs. So I made her shoes slightly more like detailed than they are in the original, and here's the line art. I decided to skip over line art because it looked the same as the sketch, but here it is. And I also, if you notice on like her front legs, I gave her a few scars, and I imagine that is from when she battles Luna as Nightmare Moon. Spoilers, by the way, if you haven't watched the show. But her sister, Princess Luna, turns like evil in like the first episode, and that's how we sort of meet Twilight and her friends, is they like go and defeat Nightmare Moon, and then she turns back into Luna. It's kind of confusing if you don't watch the show, but it's like 2 episodes, you can watch it. So originally in the story, Celestia has to like use the elements of harmony to save the kingdom from Nightmare Moon, but I imagine because it's a battle between 2 sisters and they both know the extent of each other's powers, it doesn't just like, oh, you know, like, I'm banishing you to the moon. It's like an actual fight. So I gave her a few scars to indicate like she's old, she's been through a lot of events, she's seen Equestria through several fights and battles, and she's won them, and that's a demonstration of her power. And I think that really shows through in the coloring. I also wanted to make her just in general more colorful. I changed the color of her mane because if you saw my reference photo in the corners, her colors are kind of weird in my opinion. Like even when I watched the show like 6-7 years ago, I always thought her mane colors, so like her hair and tail, were weird because she's supposed to be the Sun Princess, but her hair makes no sense as the Sun Princess. So I decided to make her hair a gradient from like the top of her mane, so where it's close to her face, to be like a regular sky, and then her tail is supposed to be transitioning into a sunset. And I think I accomplished that very well. If anything, her mane is probably my favorite part of the entire drawing. And then you can also see with her horn, I colored the sun inside of it to make it look really nice, and I'll be changing the line art also. I think if I do the rest of the ponies and like their general color palettes and stuff, I will change their eyes to be less detailed than the princesses, because I really wanted the princesses to have like a lot of va-va-voom, you know, they have a lot of detail because they are the princesses. They are literally rulers and they're alicorns. So I made both Celestia and Luna's eyes very detailed, but for the rest of the ponies I won't really do that. Only for like the royalty I'll do that for, because they're supposed to be super detailed and powerful and blah 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 blah. So yeah, I really like how Celestia turned out. I think she looks really cool. Her shoes, their shoes. Probably my least favorite design, but it's okay. And then the little collar you see around her neck is supposed to be like a battle motif because she's like, you know, she fights for Equestria. So that's like the one part where she's like big and strong. And then you'll be seeing coming up in a second the final drawing. I'm very happy with how it turned out. Very detailed, what I wanted, 10 out of 10. So now moving on to Princess Luna, you'll notice because of the way I've been sketching these, I kind of start with a really tiny itty bitty version and then I scale it up and then I sketch over that. And I found it was a lot easier to do that because I could sort of map out their body proportions because I don't draw horses at all. So because of the rise of MLP, I've had to sort of use my skills from drawing like cats to sort of translate it. It's not like perfectly anatomically correct, but it looks right, so that's what I'm going with. For Luna, I decided my headcanon is she's ever so slightly shorter than Celestia because, you know, the sun and the moon. And she has most of the same motifs, like she has shoes as well. She has her little like necklace thing. But she has a few more scars because obviously she was Nightmare Moon. Like, she's not gonna get out of that battle without a few scratches. And I'm assuming she's a lot more quiet than her sister, as like she is in the show. And just in general, I'm keeping a lot of the same elements, trying to make them look like they're both siblings or they're both a part of the same kingdom. And they have their differences because they're different parts of the like day-night cycle. And I decided for Princess Luna, I love Princess Luna, she's amazing, and I really should have drawn Nightmare Moon, so if you guys really like this video, maybe I'll draw Nightmare Moon, because Nightmare Moon was one of my favorite characters. Luna is also getting the same treatment with her horn having like an indent in it for her moon, and my like fun little thing is that for the little moon inside of her crescent part of the horn, it shows what moon cycle they're in. So like, you know how like there's waxing gibbous and waning gibbous and like the half moon and the new moon, so depending on what phase the moon is in, her horn will depict that. I thought that was so cool. So shout out to learning the moon phases like 3 years ago, and I don't know, I just really liked it. I'm going to talk about the sketching / coloring for this a bit more because I focused on most of the lore details and Celestia's. So for both ponies, I sketched it out with just my normal brushes. Here I am doing the line art, and I used the script brush, default in Procreate. By the way, I'm using Procreate. Then I just did the base colors, and I skipped over a few parts because this did take forever. This was like 4 hours of drawing, but I did all the detail work. I try to use a lot of gradients and then cell shading because in the show, I believe it's like, I don't know how they rig it, how it's either hand-drawn or rigged, but I decided not to use a ton of gradients or like a lot of super fancy shading because it's not really super fancy shaded in the show. I mean, if you're animating like 100+ episodes, I'm sure you don't want super detailed characters. And realistically, if I were going to use these for like a comic or something, I would like slow down the details with these guys. But in general, coloring was pretty normal. I did shading with just the same colors. I separated my layers into about 4. I had the base color, which had all of the line art in it. Then I had the details, so I did hair, skin, or like mane color, I guess. And then I did details and accents, and those were kind of my 4 main layers. And then I just shaded and gradiented on top of them. Also, you'll notice that Luna has slightly white hooves. That is because when I imagine she's like on the moon for her punishment or her like jail time or whatever, her hooves like lighten because the moon is like gray, you know? Does this make any sense? I don't know. It's just kind of weird ideas that I'm floating around in my head. And I really like the MLP series. I thought it was really fun, and I'm glad that it's sort of made a resurgence. I probably will post these as well, and I have a little short form video of that as well, so that's cool. And yeah, I hope you guys really enjoyed it. Oh, I put the constellations in her mane, and I thought that was so smart. Pat on the back to me, you guys. Like, I ate these designs up. But in general, I really enjoyed doing these designs. I think for everyone who's also doing like the redesigning MLP characters in my style, I also find that's a really fun trend as well. And just in general, seeing everyone's takes and what they think of certain characters has been really, really interesting. And I think it could be really fun to just sort of have a community of people who watched MLP before or still watch it or getting into it. It's a really great show for, I think, a lot of young people because it shows elements of like friendship and decision making and hard choices in a way that still, you know, applies to children, I guess. Like, it's not a children only show, but it's definitely marketed towards them. And I really miss it because it did end quite a few seasons ago, but it's all right. So I hope you all enjoyed the video for today. Here is the final for Luna. and I hope you all really enjoyed it. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye!